afternoon, everyone. It's Dr. Sharon Stills, one of your physician experts over here at Women's Health Network. Happy to be back with you again today. I hope you're all having a lovely week and a lovely Thursday and looking forward to the weekend. And today in our time together, what I want to do is answer some common questions about adrenal fatigue that a lot of my patients come to me with. So sit back and listen. We're going to learn a lot today, and I think this is going to be really beneficial. Even if you know about adrenal fatigue, I think there'll be at least one thing, maybe more, that I'll teach you that you didn't already know that you can take to enhance your health, improve your adrenal, share with your own physician, and just make health improve in your life. So let's get started. So the first question is adrenal fatigue real? And so a lot of times I see patients and they don't even know about their adrenal glands, because in mainstream medicine, the adrenal glands are pretty much ignored, and they're these two little glands that sit on top of your kidneys in your back. They're small, like the size of maybe like rolling dice or something like that. And they are responsible for like over 50 hormones. They control cortisol and mineral corticoids like aldosterone and epinephrine and norepinephrine and really important hormones in our body. And so in traditional medicine, unless your adrenal gland has totally shut down, and they label it Addison's disease, or your adrenal gland is totally pumping out crazy amounts of cortisol, and then they call it Cushing's disease. So unless it's something that they can pathologically define, have a pharmaceutical to give to you to control, then they don't really address the adrenal glands. And so I'm here to tell you that adrenal fatigue is real. One, I've personally experienced it myself. Two, I've helped thousands of patients who've had adrenal fatigue recover. And three, just because something isn't pathologically diagnosed in mainstream medicine doesn't mean it isn't real. So I'd like you to think about that when we're dealing with health. So we have, let's say, right here in the middle is health, we're feeling good. And then there's this whole range. So over here is excess. And this is where you have Cushing's disease. There, I don't know if you can see my hand. And over here is underfunctioning, where we'd have Addison's disease. But there's a whole realm between here, the middle of health, to a pathological disease here, and then the other way. And so in the middle here is where the function and the regulation of our body is happening. And that's where adrenal fatigue falls in. So there is an issue that goes on here. We don't just go on from being healthy to now we're sick. It's kind of a journey we take. And with natural medicine and intervening, we always have an option to turn around on our journey. Maybe we realize where we're headed towards disease is not where we want to go, and there are steps we can take to turn around. So yes, adrenal fatigue is real. It was a term coined in 1998 by James Wilson. He's a PhD. He wrote a book on it. And so yes, it's real. So if you feel like you have any of the symptoms or signs that I'm going to talk about, then if your own doctor is telling you you're crazy or that doesn't exist, and he does like an ACTH stimulation test, which is like the mainstream test they do to look at these pathological expressions of adrenal dysfunction, then maybe it's time to look for a naturopathic physician or a functional medicine doctor to help you on your journey. So that's number one. Number two, and if you see me looking down, that's because I wrote down these questions because I didn't want to forget them, because they're all really important. And sometimes when I get talking, I just go off on a tangent. So number two, what are the main symptoms of adrenal fatigue? All right, hold on to your seats because there are a lot. So anything from anxiety, fatigue, low blood sugar, unstable blood sugar regulation, low blood pressure. So a lot of times when you go to the doctor, they're always worried about your blood pressure being high. And when it's low, like 90/60, they say, oh, that's great, 90/60. Not so great. That means there's an issue going on with your adrenals and possibly even your thyroid. Allergies are a sign of adrenal fatigue. Weight gain, hormonal issues. The adrenals are very important, and when I work with women with their hormones, and I use a lot of bioidentical hormone replacement, we get very good results, but I'm always working with the adrenals as well. You have to look at the body as a symphony, and the adrenals they're important. They're the conductor, if you may. Let's see, what else? You crash in the afternoon, so you're get up and you're going and everything's okay, and then bam, couple hours after lunch, 3 o'clock, you just want to take a nap. You have a hard time handling stress. So maybe things that didn't used to bother you, now if you're on the phone and you're on hold, you're freaking out. There's a red light, you're freaking out. The mail didn't come on time, you're freaking out. So everything is just like, oh my God, and you're not able to handle stress. You're addicted to caffeine. You need caffeine to get up and go. It's not so much that you enjoy your cup of coffee in the morning or it's a ritual you like. It's that you need it. Without your cup of coffee, you're going to be lying on the couch all day. And I always use the analogy of, if a horse is tired and he's hanging out and you whip him, he's going to run. He's going to take off and run. And it's the same thing with your adrenal glands with caffeine. If you're tired and you introduce caffeine, bam, it's going to wake up your adrenal glands and you're going to feel like you have energy, but it's a false energy. And then from that energy boost, you're going to have an energy crash. You perspire easily. You get afternoon headaches. You have sleep disturbances. So a lot of times with adrenal fatigue, I'll hear this commonly with my patients. I fall asleep easily and then I wake up and I can't get back to sleep. You have insulin resistance. Maybe you have difficulties maintaining a chiropractic adjustment. You go get adjusted and then 12 hours later, your neck is out again or your hip is out again and you need to go back. So these are a number of symptoms. There are more, but I think that gives you a good idea. Another one could be your nails are weak. So there's so many different things. You could be getting hives. You could have asthma. You get sick a lot. And when you do get sick, you have a hard time recovering. So someone gets sick, they're sick for a couple of days and they're back at it. Not you. You get sick and it lingers 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You never just quite get it together. So those are some of the main symptoms of adrenal fatigue. Question number 3. How does adrenal fatigue differ from just being tired all the time? Well, that's a good question, and basically it differs because the root cause is different. So there's many different reasons you could be tired. And so when a patient comes in to see me, I'm certainly looking at a differential diagnosis of why they are tired. And adrenal fatigue is definitely in there. It could also be anemia. It could be a sluggish thyroid. So the thyroid and the adrenals are intimately connected. And just a tip for those of you listening, if you have thyroid dysfunction and you're being treated for thyroid with thyroid hormone, whether it's Synthroid or it's thyroid porcine or Armour, the more natural thyroids that contain T3 and T4, make sure you have your adrenals tested. If you're treating the thyroid and not supporting the adrenals, you're going to further deplete the adrenals. So be sure that you have your adrenals looked at as well. So anyway, how does it differ? It differs because maybe you're iron anemic, so you need to have a full iron panel done. Maybe you're tired because you're burning the candles at both ends and you're just not getting enough sleep. Maybe you're tired because your thyroid is low or you have a lingering virus. There's so many, or you're dehydrated, or you're not getting enough physical activity, or maybe you're stressed out and emotionally you're just spent. So there's many different reasons, and that's how it differs. We need to know why you have the fatigue and why you're tired so we can enact the proper treatments. Number 4. So Dr. Stills, how do you diagnose someone with adrenal fatigue? Well, I'm glad you asked. There's a couple of different things. So a couple of in-office tests that I do One is looking at a paradoxical pupillary response. So the pupil is the black part of the eye. And so what I'll do is I'll turn the lights out for about 15 seconds, make the room dark, and then I'll come in with a light and I'll shine it on the eye. And what we should see is that the pupil constricts and can maintain it. So I'll hold the light there for about 20 seconds. So if someone's pupil constricts and they maintain it for 20 seconds, then I know they have a pretty good adrenal reserve. It's one way of looking at it. But if their pupil constricts and then it starts to pulse and then it starts to enlarge and the pupil starts to enlarge while I'm still holding the light there, then depending upon how many seconds it takes, if it's 10 seconds, that's like a fair response. If I shine the light and there's no constriction or there's a constriction and then an immediate dilation of the pupil, then I know there's some serious problems going on. Another way I can know that is when I have a patient who walks in my office and they're wearing sunglasses and they don't take them off. And so with this pupillary dilation and adrenal fatigue, you'll be very light sensitive. And so I can often see someone who's always got their sunglasses on. That's kind of a tip to me that there's an issue going on there. Another thing that I do in the office is a postural hypertension test. And so putting a patient supine, meaning they're lying on their back, I can take their blood pressure and I'm looking at the systolic number. That's the top number. So like if your blood pressure is 120/80, 120 would be your systolic number. And so we're looking at that number. I take it and then I pump up the blood pressure cuff again. I help them stand up. Another symptom of adrenal issues is if you get dizzy upon rising. I didn't mention that one before. And so I have them stand up, and within 5 seconds of standing up, I'm pumping up again to see what their systolic reading is. And so the systolic reading in a normal adrenal health would go up about 5 to 10 points. And if it doesn't, if it stays the same, I know there's an issue. And then again, if it drops 10 points, that means there's some issues. If it drops 20 points, I know there's a real serious issue with the adrenals. So those are some functional tests that I do in the office that we don't have to send out for. I also do adrenal stress index testing. That's salivary testing. It's a very accurate way. The cortisol levels are bioavailable in the saliva, and it's a way to look at the rhythm of the adrenal glands. So, and the secretion of cortisol. So in the morning, cortisol secretion should be high. It's what wakes us up, gets us out of bed, gets us going, rah, rah, rah. And then as the day goes on, the levels should slowly drop. And so I often explain it as being on a ski lift. And when you go skiing, you're up bright and early, 8 o'clock, you're at the top of the lift, and there you are, your cortisol's high, and then you ski down the slope all day. So as you're skiing down, by the time you're down and the ski lift is closed and in your life it's time to go to bed, your cortisol levels are low. And then while you're sleeping, you're on the ski lift and it's rising. So boop, when it's time to get up, your cortisol levels are high again. And so we can't really look at that diurnal rhythm, which is so important and gives so much information, in a blood test. And so that's why I do a lot of saliva testing. And then it can really show me, oh, look, the levels in fatigue, they're just going to be bottomed out across the board. Or, you know, they're really low in the morning, but then at night they go crazy high. And so it can really help to give the right treatment at the right time. In addition, in blood work, I can see low aldosterone. I can see low BUN, which is a kidney marker, low CO2, a sodium and chloride level that are normal to low, and elevated potassium. So there's lots of different ways that I piece together to see that the adrenals are in trouble. In addition, if a patient is constantly craving salty foods, or they give me the story, which I hear so often, you know, I have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning, then I drink my coffee and I feel great, and then I crash around 3 and I have to have another cup of coffee or some sugar to boost me up. I get home from work, I'm exhausted, but then lo and behold, at 9 o'clock, I'm ready to scrub the floors, clean the house, do the dishes, answer my emails. And that's like this second wind that happens with the adrenal glands. And so that's a real sign that there's problems going on in paradise. And the last question, and an important one, is Dr. Stills, what are the 3 top things I can do to feel better when I have adrenal fatigue? And it's always so hard for me to like narrow it down to just 3 things because there's so many things. So let's see if I can do it in 3. The first one would be sleep and rest and honoring the rhythm of your body, not overbooking yourself, not making your calendar so busy that you go from here to here to here to here. This morning I was lying in yoga and shavasana after the practice, which for those of you that don't know what that is, it's when you're done doing yoga, you lie, it's called dead body or corpse pose, and you're just meditating, you're taking in the energy and all the work that you did from the practice. And so I was lying there and the teacher says her little thing and saying goodbye and namaste. And I was thinking how grateful I am that I set up my schedule so I don't have to run out of there, because I see so many people running out of there, going to their next thing. And so that really stresses the adrenal glands. So taking time, booking ourselves so we don't have to rush, so we can give ourselves that moment to pause, making sure you sleep the right hours, being in bed and sleeping by 10:30 the latest. So if that means you need to unwind or it takes you a little bit to fall asleep, get to bed at 9 or 9:30. Make this a no compromise. This is just like the lay of the land. And when you have adrenal fatigue, it's important to get into the sleeping schedule no matter whether it's during the work week or on the weekend. So really honoring your sleep and getting it at the right time will really help to regenerate your adrenal glands. 2 would be avoiding caffeine. We don't want to whip the adrenals just like you wouldn't want to whip the horse. And so if your adrenals are tired, you need to build them up naturally. And so if you keep doing the caffeine, not only are you masking what's going on, but you're making it worse, because like I said, the caffeine takes you up, but then it drops you down. So avoiding caffeine and getting hydrated. And you all know I'm like the hydration Nazi, and I just love hydration. And so making sure you're getting at least half your weight in ounces daily, preferably getting up to that 3 liters where you're really just going to turn on metabolism in your body. So avoiding caffeine, and don't forget there's caffeine in chocolate as well, so really keeping the caffeine out of your diet. 3 would be getting some supplements. The adrenals really need B complex. They need B5, pantethine really feeds the adrenals. Vitamin C really feeds the adrenals. Adrenal glandular, sometimes you need a glandular tissue to just let the adrenals rest a little while you feed them. Taking adaptogenic herbs, ashwagandha, luthro, holy basil, schizandra, all of these yummy herbs that help the adrenals to repair itself. So it's kind of like you just let the adrenals go lie in a hammock for a little while and you take some nutrients. And I think the last thing I want to say is just to remember that healing your adrenal glands is not an overnight thing. So my adrenal fatigue was years ago, and it's still something I have to be very mindful of in my life. If I go out and stay out way too late, I can feel it. So I kind of look at it as a blessing. It's something that helps me stay on the path of taking care of myself and honoring my needs. So don't expect this to be a one-time thing. Oh, I'm going to take some glandulars or some herbs, or I'm going to stop caffeine and sleep for a month and then I'm going to be better. It takes time. It took a lot of time for your adrenals to get where they are, and it's going to take time to heal them. So be kind to yourself. So I see there's a couple of comments. Let me lean in and see what they say. So yes, looking forward to seeing your results. Adaptosol, yes, you're definitely going to, and you're welcome, Susie. I hope the information was helpful. And hello, Wendy in Turkey. Staying up late after midnight, time to go to bed. You can catch this video in the morning. It'll be playing on our Facebook page in the morning. So get some sleep and take care of yourself and those adrenals. So as always, I hope this was informative, helpful for you.
I think that adrenal fatigue is an epidemic. There are very few patients that I see that haven't dealt with it, aren't dealing with it, or aren't getting ready to deal with it. The way we live our lives and how stressful they are, it's just kind of something that needs to be attended to and addressed. So I look forward to seeing you all again soon, and have a great day and lots of love. Bye.